My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups.
Next up at UFC Vegas 36, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Tom Aspinall versus Serghei Spivac. Tom Aspinall, 10-2 overall, 5-0 in his last five. Serghei Spivac, 13-2 overall, 4-1 in his last five. Tom Aspinall, a very, very, very good striker. If you remember our breakdown last time, we talked about how he is training with Tyson Fury and getting rounds in at that high a level boxer, which is only a good thing. And he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. And if you remember last time, Dan got rich as hell. Didn't you have a second round submission prop bet or something absurd? Or was it just submission?
I don't think I picked second round. I think I threw the submission prop in there.
It was like plus 675 or something crazy. So Danny Boy was on to the black belt. Your exact words were, I think I heard he has a black belt. So you hammered that and you hit that. Tom Aspinall showed off his grappling prowess last fight when he submitted Andrei Arlovsky.
It was a cute bet. It was a cute one. I mean, it's not the bets I had. I mean, it's not the bets I had. I don't see you wearing a chain, but, you know, it's cute.
Is that actually foil?
It's tinfoil, absolutely.
Do you see these diamonds dancing, Dan?
For a heavyweight, Tom Aspinall has very, very fast hand speed. He has good defense and a diverse attack style. He also mixes in his kicks really well. So, very good boxer who trains with world champion boxers. Black belt in jiu-jitsu, and we've seen him use that. Tom Aspinall, this is a heavy mountain to climb, which is why he's almost a 3-1 favorite. Serghei Spivac, also a streaking heavyweight right now. He's a decent striker who can be dangerous on the ground. We watched him absolutely dismantle Jared Vanderaa, but then I felt like he struggled with Alexei Olenek, and that was a fight against like a 59-year-old that he absolutely should have steamrolled and did not. He's a very capable fighter, but I think Aspinall's striking will probably be a little too much for him, so he needs to get it to the ground to win. Obviously, Aspinall, a jiu-jitsu black belt, but jiu-jitsu off of your back in the heavyweight division is very, very different than other positions. Jacob, what are your thoughts here?
Listen, Serghei's got one way to win this fight, just one. He's not going to win striking. He's not going to win in grappling. As far as the jiu-jitsu goes, he has to win with wrestling. And I have it. The only thing in my notes for both fighters is position over submission. Serghei's got to get this fight to the ground, and he has to just keep positions. If he starts trying to work submissions, Aspinall's going to reverse those positions and probably submit him or get on full mount, do something crazy. He's just got to try to, honestly, he's got to get this fight to the ground, just stay in half guard and just hold him there and just hope and pray that he can keep Tom on the ground. I think that's the only way I see him winning this fight, honestly. I don't see him winning striking. I don't see him winning in a pure jiu-jitsu match. So I like Tom Aspinall in this matchup. He didn't quite make it in my lineup because there is that possibility that he gets kind of outworked with the wrestling because Serghei is a very good wrestler. But, you know, Tom should win this matchup. So that's the only thing I would say is position over submission, Mr. Serghei.
You are surprisingly on point. I agree with that word for word. Before I go to you, Dan, what I will say is the betting line is only 1.5 rounds. I totally understand why it's 1.5 rounds. I mean, Tom Aspinall is an absolute killer. I think Spivac is tough enough to survive 1.5 rounds. And like Jacob said, if he mixes in the wrestling, he can win this fight just by hanging out on top. And I mentioned in my piece that, yeah, Aspinall's a black belt, but jiu-jitsu off your back in the heavyweight division is very different than on top or in scrambles. I already bet the over on the 1.5 at wewantpicks.com/bets. Danny Boy, what are your thoughts with the pick?
This is a fight that annoys me because I have not been high on Serghei Spivac. I think we made that Vanderaa bet where we lost. I mean, and he showed up and he's won a bunch of fights. You know, like you said, he hasn't looked great against some fights. So I feel like this is one of those fights where I'm like still not high on the guy at all. But, you know, at the same time, I don't know that Aspinall should be a minus 280 favorite. Like, I mean, maybe it's one of those fights where he could show up and look like a minus 280 favorite, but I don't know that he's shown enough to prove that yet. So from a betting standpoint, I'm not touching this one, but I think I will take Aspinall on DraftKings at 9,000. I'm playing around with some things right now, but yeah, I think the jiu-jitsu is a big factor if Spivac tries to take him down. Spivac's wrestling, if I remember correctly from the tape, it's not traditional, American wrestling. He's got like the judo throws and some weird stuff, but he is heavy on top when he gets there. So Jacob, your position over submission is a fair point. But I think Aspinall, if he's a legit black belt, he'll figure out ways to scramble or get up or, you know, could be live for a sub. And if they're on the feet striking, which Spivac, you know, a lot of times will do for extended periods of time, I think Aspinall is going to touch him up. So I like Aspinall for the knockout capability. I think he wins the fight. I just don't love the odds and something about Spivac. Me being wrong on him a few times, I'm like, I almost got to stop betting against the guy.
And this is we forgot to mention, I think, this is short notice for Serghei. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, no, short notice. And another thing too, I think he's an undersized heavyweight. He's like 234 and
Yeah, he's not
chubby.
big.
Right. So, you know, I don't know. He's fast. He's got some good things going, but again, hit or miss, it feels like.
Well, I already bet the over on rounds. I think he will survive a round and a half. The monkey knife fight line's an interesting one because you have to assume somebody with Tom's speed touching you up 48 times. Maybe you don't last that long on short notice, but I think I still like the more here on the monkey knife fight line. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, more.
Danny boy.
Less more.
Two splits on this card for you. Less more. So you think Spivac's going to land more strikes overall?
I think Spivac might get a weird scramble, get some strikes, and I think Aspinall will get up and knock him out at some point.
All right. Interesting.
Complete guess. Literally, don't make that bet.
It is a tough line. I mean, the line is in line with the round expectation. So I think it will go over 1.5. So I think they'll get past these strikes.